How's it going, everyone? Today we got a story time of a kid who starts a Skibidi Toilet cult. Yeah, no, I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, and trust me, it is. Yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new and like stories, and make sure to leave a like on the video right now, because if you do, no joke, guys, you will actually receive nothing at all. I know, fantastic deal. With that being said, let's just jump into today's story. Anyway, so we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Frank. Yes, so sure enough, right, this happened a couple days ago, actually a couple weeks ago, and it was submitted to me a couple days ago. It all happened one day when Frank was, chilling after school. So Frank usually got picked up a little bit later. His school didn't necessarily have an after-school program, and Frank's mom got out of school just like a little bit late, or not got out of school. Frank's mom got out of work just a tad too late to not be able to pick up Frank as soon as he got out of school, but also not so much later that it would have made sense for Frank to go to a after-school program. So Frank would usually hang out for 10, 15, 20, at max 25 minutes after school got out. Anyways, this day was a little bit different than usual. So yes, another thing I must mention, and I mention in all these Skibidi Toilet type kid videos, is there's a pretty crazy trend that really blew up over the summer of this animation series of like Skibidi Toilet. I don't even know, man, but a lot of people really like it. And if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you guys have definitely witnessed that a lot of people go a little bit farther than just simply liking it. There's definitely some kids who have developed what we will call, and a lot of people on the internet have called, Skibidi Toilet Syndrome, where they basically just go insane. Anyways, though, this is the first Skibidi Toilet video that's like both hilarious but also a little bit creepy, which I guess kind of fits since it is October 22nd. Dang, time flies. Anyways, though, so yeah, sure enough, this story all happened one day when the subscriber was there after school. So this day, the subscriber's mom was a little bit later than usual, and the subscriber's mom let him know before when they left, saying, "Hey, do you want to go to someone's house today? Because I'm going to be like closer to like 30 to 45 minutes late. I just know I am going to be today because of something going on at work." The subscriber's like, "No, it's kind of too much of a hassle for me to go to someone else's house, so I really don't mind just like camping out at school. It's fine." Anyways, though, so on this day, yes, sure enough, the subscriber, like the bell rings and the subscriber gets out and he says goodbye to all of his friends who, get picked up by their parents. So anyways, the subscriber is kind of left in the school, and because the school gets like locked after the janitor comes, it's kind of a weird system. In my opinion, I feel like as soon as school is over, the last person to leave should lock it up, and then when the janitors come later at night, or I guess early in the morning for some people, but later at night in the situation, they should unlock it, clean it, and then relock it again. But at Frank's school, the school would basically be unlocked until the janitors came, and then they would do their work, and then they would lock it on the way out. Which, I mean, I think that's probably going to be the system until some kids vandalize, and then they're going to change the system. Probably just how it's going to go. Anyways, though, so for that reason, Frank was free to kind of roam around the school. So at first, Frank thought it was kind of cool because normally he would never be able to stay this late, meaning his mom would come 15 minutes after, and there would still be one or two kids walking around or a teacher. Definitely the school would have been, it would have been a lot less people in the school at that point, but not to this degree. It really felt like he was the only kid in the school. Yeah, so anyways, on this day, it was a little bit different. Because this day, he was there late enough that it truly felt like no one else was there at the school. This, of course, was not the case. Anyways, though, so the subscriber was kind of like walking down the hallways, whatever, and it wasn't really creepy yet. It really had this kind of cool sensation of, wow, I guess this is what my school is like when no one else is here. I definitely did that a few times, and it's actually kind of a cool thing. You go to your school, and everything seems correct, except there isn't the buzz of people walking through it, and it's interesting, but definitely it can become eerie if you're there for too long or in the wrong mindset or whatever. It very easily could become eerie, because it's like that sensation of something is mostly right, but something is like slightly off, and I don't know, that's like one of the creepiest things to me. Anyways, though, so the subscriber is walking around, and just like kind of admiring like the school, it's not admiring, I think just like kind of being like, wow, like no one else is here, like this is kind of cool. But then pretty shortly after, it became a little bit eerie. The subscriber, sometimes, man, I can't really explain these things, but sometimes you just have a feeling, you kind of just have a sensation, And a lot of times it's not correct, but sometimes it is. And in my opinion, you should normally just listen to these kind of like, you should normally listen to these kind of instincts, these kind of sensations. I generally think that it's a good idea to, just because, why not? Like, unless the sensation's like, ooh, gamble all your money, ooh, okay, then yeah, obviously then maybe don't listen to the sensation. But if you're not going to lose anything from paying attention to your instincts, then sometimes I just say, just listen to your instincts, even if they don't make sense, like whatever. If you're not going to lose anything, man, you might lose something by not paying attention to them. Because sometimes there are things that our conscious doesn't pick up on, but we've been wired to pick up on through like thousands of years of evolution. Anyways, for some reason, something just kind of switched, and the subscriber, he started to feel like, it just started to feel a little bit eerie. It started to feel a little bit uncanny. And I know this is definitely true when I walked in spaces where normally there's tons of people. For example, I actually stayed over my fall break. I stayed at my college, and I did this last year, and I'll talk about my experience last year briefly. So it just like the break wasn't long enough for me to justify going all the way home, as that's kind of expensive. And I stayed here over break, and it was just very surreal. It was like everything was exactly the same, but minus everything that made it what it was, which, it can give you the creepy feelings. But the subscriber actually had a genuine reason for this. So the subscriber was like, okay, you know what? Because the subscriber had been wandering through all the halls of the school at this point, and the subscriber was kind of like, okay, I think I'm just going to go back at this point. I'm just going to stand outside. I'll just wait outside because, I don't know, I always feel like the outside's not creepy, man. So the subscriber's like, okay, man, I'm just going to like walk outside, and then, I'll just wait for my mom out there, even though I probably got another like 20 minutes. Like, exploring the school was cool and all, but I just kind of have this weird feeling, so I'm just going to leave because I don't want to be in here anymore. Which only if people in horror movies like just like paid attention to this like instinct of don't go in the place where you're feeling scared of, then they probably would have a better chance of survival when their survival rate's like 0%. I mean, the plot armor, it's like an inverse plot armor, man. They can't survive, man. Some Final Destination type something. Anyways, though, so yeah, the subscriber is pretty deep within the school. He was venturing in pretty far, which might be part of the reason why he got creeped out. But as he's walking out, this is where things start to get really, really weird. Yes. So anyways, the subscriber, he's walking back, and he's walking by. So inside they have like one really big school building. It has everything from the classrooms to lunchroom to the gymnasium, the indoor gymnasium, I should say. Everything's included in there. So he happened to walk all the way into the lunchroom, and that's when he felt kind of this weird feeling, probably because the space was so big and was like so vast, and he just like, I think that's really when it kind of like that the sensation hurt him. I think there's like a name for this sensation, but I just don't know what it is. Anyways, though, so the subscriber walks by as he's walking back, he walks by the gymnasium, and that's when he realizes that no, in fact, he is not the only person still at the school. So there's this kind of like faint talking noise coming from inside the gymnasium, or coming from because like the door was like, it was like one of those big metal doors or whatever that was shut. And he walks by it, and he thought, he heard some like noise or something. And so he's kind of like, oh, okay. He stops for a second, which once again, like maybe, I don't know, I'd be kind of curious too, but also if I'm already scared, man, that would have made me jump, man. That would have made me sprint out of there. Like I'm all for being curious. I'm all for discovering, like, yay, go science or whatever. But in a situation like this, I'm really getting my butt out of there, bro. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, or especially for my butt, man. That's getting out of there. Anyway, so yeah, sure enough, the subscriber, he kind of just like, he decides that he's curious enough. So he's kind of creeped out, and he stops, and he turns to look at the gymnasium door. And he sees that it's like, because like all of the lights, it's not pitch black, but the lights have been like turned off because they're all motion sensor. And maybe they're just like shut off when people go. I don't actually know. For some reason, it was kind of like dark or whatever, which definitely helped it be creepy. But he saw kind of like a faint light or whatever coming from, the inside of coming from like the bottom of the door. You know how like if you're like in a dark hallway and you like someone turns on a light in a room with the door closed, that there's like an illumination, like the outline of the door is illuminated. Well, that basically was faintly true for this door. So at this point, the subscriber kind of realized that like definitely someone was in there. So anyways, the subscriber, this is already sounding like a horror movie at this point, which is perfect because it's basically, October. It's basically Halloween, man. God, I got to come up with a costume. Oh no, wait a minute. I need a costume, man. I think I'm honestly going to be 3-hole punch Jim. If anyone watched The Office, you might find that funny. Anyways, though, I don't want to break the mood anymore because we're kind of getting a little bit of suspense. So yeah, he kind of decides to push up to the door and try and peek through the cracks to try and get a sense of what's going on. He doesn't want to push through the door, right? He doesn't want to open up the door, just blindly see what's going on in there. But his curiosity has hit a point where he does actually want to see what's going on. So the subscriber, goes up to the door, and he starts to hear, the mumbling a little bit more clearly. However, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to him. It sounds unintelligible. It doesn't sound necessarily like English, if that makes sense. Yeah, so anyways, the subscriber pushes his kind of ear up to the door, and, or no, not pushes his ear up, pushes kind of his eye up to try and see through one of the cracks. So he tries to see through, and the inside of the gymnasium is not really well lit as the lights are not on. However, as I said earlier, there was some illumination, not full illumination. It's not like the lights were blaring, but there was some light that was kind of emanating through the cracks of the door, so that piqued the subscriber's interest in the first place after he kind of heard some noise. So he tries to look through, what might be the keyhole. I don't think it's an actual keyhole because I don't think this is the type of door to have a key. But some kind of crack, some kind of something where you can look through, but your view is a little bit, it's not the greatest view, right? You'll get a little bit of you can kind of see what's going on in there. So anyways, the subscriber is looking into the gymnasium, and what he sees is very confusing. So most of it is dark. But in a gymnasium, I mean think of big basketball court type thing with stands and whatever. Very classic high school, whatever. So he looks through and he sees that it looks like on the center of the court that there are some people standing in there. And they seem to be standing in what appears to be a circle, which is spooky. And they seem to be kind of mumbling to each other. And anyway, so the subscriber's kind of what? And he's trying to figure out where the light is coming from. And the light was very weird lighting. And the subscriber kind of knew that from the very beginning. And he looks closer and he sees that the lighting is actually what appears to be candlelight, right? Maybe it's a fake candle. I don't know. But it appears to be, at least aesthetically, candlelight, which is creepy. It's really freaking creepy, bro. So anyways, the subscriber is kind of what? And he just looks closer. He kind of presses his head up against the door, right? As he's really just trying to get a better look, because whatever he's looking through is obfuscating his view to some degree, to which he's I don't actually believe what I'm seeing. And he witnesses as the people who are standing in a circle all kind of join hands for a second. And that's when I don't know, obviously the subscribers does not have a PhD in occult practices or anything, but he's seen a few too many horror movies to know that this is probably very weird. So the subscriber is kind of tries to get a closer look, and he's pushing his head against, I think you guys can kind of see where this is going. So the subscriber tries to get a closer look and kind of pushes his eye up to kind of the peephole or whatever. I shouldn't say keyhole, I should say peephole, as it's not a key. And that's when probably the worst sound of all time he hears. The mechanical opening of the door, because this is one of those big metal doors. So it doesn't open a little bit. It goes meow, and the subscriber accidentally almost falls through the door and catches himself. The subscriber only very briefly is in the room, and he because he pushed through the door, he basically leaned on the door, which was not a good call, whatever. And at this point, everyone turns around and looks at him. And it's weird because, their hoods are down. They have, hoodies on or whatever. And they have these, cheap masks that they found on Amazon or whatever. I don't think there's any symbolism. I think they were just, masks that you could find on Amazon very cheaply. But the subscriber makes, quote-unquote, eye contact with at least a few of them. Eye contact I put in quote-unquote just because, you can't really make eye contact with someone with a mask. However, they can look at your eyes and see your face. So at this point, the subscriber kind of catches himself, closes the door, it pulls on the door, but it's one of those mechanical doors. So there's a little bit, it's as if you're pulling it through a big jar of molasses or something, and just quickly turns around and just starts running. The subscriber at this point has the adrenaline levels that he's never felt before, and he just starts running. Yeah, so at this point, the subscriber is just, he's running and he's just really working on muscle memory just to get him out of the just to get him out of the school. So anyways, the subscriber eventually pushes through the doors of the school and just like stands like super, he just like gets as far out onto the curb as possible without leaving the premises of the school, so his mom picks him up in the right place. And the subscriber is just so unbelievably paranoid, which I can completely understand. And he's like looking back at the windows of the school, which you can't actually see through the windows at that point because, all the lights are turned off. So they're basically dark. And a few times the subscriber feels as if he saw like a face in the window looking at him or whatever. But the subscriber does say on kind of like recalling back to that point, he can't confirm nor deny like really with any sense of he can't confirm is what he's saying that they were continuing to watch him through the windows. He thinks that it is fairly likely that he might have just been paranoid after the events that just occurred, which honestly I would have been too. So when the subscriber's mom picks him up, the subscriber's mom immediately is like, "What's up?" I don't know, man. I feel like moms can really just pick up when something is wrong, even when you think like you're like, nah, like something just like when you think that you're being sly or you're not showing it, whatever. I feel like moms 100% of the time can pick it up with like scary accuracy. So anyways, the subscriber is like, "Oh, nothing. Yeah, no, I'm nothing." And she's like, "Nothing?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." The subscriber's mom gives him a look like, "Okay, I definitely don't believe you, but I'm going to let you decide if you want to talk about it." That kind of look. Anyways, though, so understandably, the subscriber was not really able to sleep that night. And the next day, he gets into school, and he's walking with his friends, and his friends notice that, like, the subscriber, like, stops when they walk by the gymnasium, because they're all going to lunch, and as you might recall, the subscriber had to pass by the gymnasium to get to the lunchroom and to go back. Anyways, so there's one of his friends like, "Yo, dude, what's up?" Subscriber's like, "Nothing, like, you're not going to believe me." And obviously when someone says you're not going to believe me, that's when it gets interesting. So his friends are like, "Yeah, like, what, like, okay, well, tell us." And he's like, "I was here, like, you're not going to believe me, but I'll just say it anyways." He said, and he basically goes on the story and tells you the story I just told you. So some of his friends are like, "Dude, like, I don't, like, know if I believe that." But one of his friends was like, "Dude, I think I might know what that was." And the subscriber's like, "What?" Like, what do you mean you might know what that was? And the kid's like, "Dude, like, I was hearing, like, some rumors going around that, like, something really strange is going on. Like, a group of kids are, like, organizing around some kind of, like, internet thing, and it's, like, really weird. I don't totally get it." And the subscriber's like, "Do you know anything else?" And he's like, "No, like, that really is the extent of the rumor. I kind of just didn't care because I'm like, oh, who cares, right?" So the subscriber throughout class is thinking about that all day. And once again, it comes to a situation where at the end of the day, his mom is going to be not 45 minutes late. She's going to be like 10, 15, 20 minutes late. So the subscriber is not trying to stay in the school. You know what I mean? Like, the subscriber, he's not trying to be in that school, like, when everyone is gone to the same extent that he was before. So he is, like, getting ready to pack up his bags and go. Anyways, so the subscriber, he opens up his locker. And, so the lockers at the school, I think lockers kind of depend per school, but the lockers at the school were the grate lockers, meaning that there is like a ventilation thing on them. That also means that something in theory could be slipped in the grates. So anyways, the subscriber opens up his locker to grab something, and he notices that there's a piece of paper folded in half that has slipped into his locker. So he picks it up and kind of realizes right away that there's like writing on it. So he immediately gets the chills and is like, "I'm not opening this up in here." So the subscriber grabs his bag. And at this point, he's not completely alone in the school. There's like one or two other kids. So he feels a little bit more safe, but he's still trying to get out of there. So the subscriber grabs the letter and like runs out and like waits outside with some of the other kids for his mom to come. So the subscriber unfolds the letter. And it is addressed to him, first name and last name, which is already terrifying, right? Because the lockers don't have names on them. It's not like someone could look up a name, find the locker, and then do that. They had to do extensive research. So it was signed basically. I don't remember exactly what or not that I remember, but the subscriber like got rid of the letter. Like, he just doesn't have the letter. Like, he creeped him out. Like, he genuinely, like, I think he showed some of his friends and he said, "Hey, take this. I don't want to hold on to it." I don't know. I can understand the subscriber's a little weirded out. So he kind of said that essentially what it said was like, "Look, we know that you've like stumbled upon our meetings yesterday." And he said, like, "If you're interested in joining," and this is this is where the creepiness kind of turns to goofiness. It's also still kind of creepy. It's like, if you are interested in the Skibidi cult, then like all you need to do is like meet us after school tomorrow at like the same time. We will be there. Tell no one, like let no one know, bring no one, only bring yourself. And they're like being all like spooky with it. But the subscriber was like, Skibidi, like the Skibidi toilet. Ah, hell nah.